Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank
Shabbat
you for
shalom.
that. This is going to be kind of a combination teaching tonight. And we're going to start out with the kof up here. It means holiness. And we'll see why, because there's it sets up the letter that's coming behind it. I thought it was very interesting today. It's actually it should be done in a couple weeks of study, but I think we can get enough out of it to help us. The kof, strangely enough, is like the kaf and the vav together, totaling 26. So this is the sitar, the hidden inside the obvious. It's hidden in plain sight. And it's equal to the yod, he, vav, he. That's 26 too. So the two of them together equal the name Yahweh. That's why it's encrypted, the holiness. Also, the kof, resh, beit, and final noon is korban. It means offering. But the offering isn't something that we bring to Yahweh to appease Him. We're to bring, it means come close with your offering. So it's actually like you come close with whatever you have to offer, whatever we have to offer. And it's prayer, it's praise, it's right ruling, it's obedience. Those are the things that come in korban, the offering. And that starts with the kof. Now, going on, it's kind of interesting that the vav in the two combination letters stops at the line. But later on, it turns into a final noon that exceeds the line. If there was a line, this would be the line. You can see it goes past, representing passing into eternity. It means going on forever. Now the kaf in the final noon equals 70. And that has to do with the nations, the 70 nations. And on the feast of the Sabbath, they slaughtered 70 bullocks, one for each nation. Now this was after they came with their offering. Now this is what Yahweh gave back to them. Now, see, it's extended. Now they go to the nations for eternal life, to tell the nations, to bring them in, to bring them close. And as they crossed the Jordan, they came to Jericho. And the first thing they did was have to take that out. And they had to do it by the ordinance that Yahweh gave them. So for 6 days, they just walked around it, and then they blew their shofar. They just walked around once, and then they blew their shofar. But on the 7th day, on the Sabbath, the 7th day, they went around 7 times. They went around and around and around. And then they made a huge shout, and then they blew the shofars, and then Jericho fell in. And then they were in there, and they saved Rahab and her family that was in there. I probably know the story, how she put out the scarlet, was it a scarf or something, or ribbon, and they saw it, and that was her covenant that they made with the 2 spies. But now this represents 6 days of the week. We just go around and do our thing. But on the Sabbath, it's extra. It's 7 times as great. But now, it has more to do than with just days, because the 6 also equals 6,000 years. And we go around these cycles, each one is 1,000 years. But what happens on the 7,000th year? We hear the shout of the archangel and the trump of Yahweh. And that's the day of trumpets. So on that, he's coming back to conquer the world just like they conquered Jericho. Then the whole world is going to submit to him. And that's why there is a progression of holiness, and then you come to Yahweh, and with your offering you go to the nations, and all those who make covenant like Rahab did. After the 6,000 years, when Yeshua comes back, in 7,000 years, it's over. And then, of course, then we go into the 8th day. It's like Sukkot. You know, the 8th day is eternity. And that's where this little fella comes in. That's why he goes past the line. This is the final noon, which is life. It's eternal life. So that was the Kof. Pretty interesting. And there's a lot more to this. Each one of these is probably a study itself to elaborate on it. And maybe we can do that. So.